The kids are down. The wife's asleep.
So in 4 hours, you drank 15 Busch Lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at 8 o'clock, that's when you checked out and your wife had to deal with you.
Night time.
Night time.
Yeah.
Crack a beer. Pour a bourbon. It's After Dark. On ESPN Louisville Plus. Subscribe and smash that freaking like button. Now here's Justin Soforo.
Soforo. How do you
Soforo.
say Soforo? No, it's fur. It's fur, not four. That's why it's fur man.
Soforo.
There you go.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Soforo. I don't know. Soforo? Soforo, my bad. No, Soforo.
Here's Justin Soforo.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back in to another edition of After Dark on ESPN Louisville Plus. My name's Justin Soforo, and I've got you, of course, for the next hour or so. Joining me today, unfortunately, she cannot be here, but we wish her well. Anna Tarullo is out tonight, but joining me today, Jason Jenkins, Jinky, from the Gas Bags podcast, right? I think you'll see him, and joining Nick Valvano and Tanner Brunemesto at least once a week, sometime around 7 to 9. I think usually around Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to get it nailed down on one particular day in the future. Yeah. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good. I mean, I'll be honest. Today, we kind of talked a little bit in the bullpen before we got started. Wasn't exactly full steam ahead, ready to go, but we are here. We're doing this thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with everything with football. I really want to. We'll lean into probably starting with the college football playoff before we really get into some of the recruiting there. Just honestly. And I also have a lot of feelings and stuff from down deep about basketball that I want to get into before we wrap the show up at the end of the night. How's it going, my man? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
it seems
absolutely.
like we got a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We were good when we were testing it.
Go ahead, my man.
Everything was working good right before we go live.
Yeah. So just go ahead. I think we got a little bit of a delay somewhere in there, but if you could just go ahead, give me how are you feeling, especially coming off the college football playoff this weekend. Miami, Indiana ended up being something to me probably more of a championship game that I'm more inclined or excited to watch, to be honest. Miami, obviously in the ACC, the poor little peasant ACC has a contender in there, and I know BBN, come at me, big boys, as well as Indiana, who I guess years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I never could have imagined that I'd be saying looking like an absolute juggernaut right now. So it's just an interesting situation overall. How are you feeling coming off of a pretty good first half of that semifinal round, and then kind of a less than enthralling beatdown that Indiana laid on Oregon?
So I like the matchup in this particular situation. Indiana's toughest game, and I'm not specifically an Indiana supporter. I think Kirk Cignetti's a great coach. You know, he's got a lot of people that he worked with that were really influential in his life. You know, even the short time with Saban, I'm sure that means a lot to a lot of people. The Iowa played Indiana about the best you could possibly play them this year, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know that another team really actually played them better. And I like the fact that Miami and Iowa, as far as defensive strength, are similar. I think Miami's probably a more potent offensive team, and I would like to see Miami get that run game started. I think it's, as much as I talked about it before, I think our strength was the run game, which we never tapped into, except for in the Miami game. And I think Miami's built very similarly. Carson Beck needs to not make mistakes, just like we needed to put Miller Moss in positions where he didn't make mistakes, and we would have been better off.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. One of the ways that I look at it is it's at least interesting overall. I can't imagine, to me, watching the way Indiana plays, that really I just don't feel like Miami's really going to have a chance. Maybe they will. I don't know. It's going to be hard for me to see them. I think maybe I'm also probably a little bit biased off of watching Louisville do what Jeff Brohm did against Miami. Even though we saw Miami take on multiple SEC foes and get the job done, it's just difficult for me to be able to see them to compete with what Indiana has offensively, firepower, and even their defense, getting the takeaways that they've got against Oregon. It's gonna be an uphill battle, which is just so weird to say, especially when you look at the makeup of that roster. Indiana playing with, really getting the most out of him. I guess a Saban disciple really getting the most out of his players, while teams like Miami, while they're blue blood-ish, and they have their history there with all the championships they have, still just with like five stars or something like that on their roster as well. I don't know, it intrigues me. I'm really hoping that we're going to get a better game than I expect it to be, but it still just feels like this weird coronation for Indiana that's about to happen here in about a week and a half or so.
Yeah, I mean, it does, you'd be crazy not for them to be your favorite in the process of all of this. It makes sense, right? They're an offensive, efficient juggernaut. Their defense was a monster against Oregon, who is another offensive juggernaut. I do not know that Miami has the big play ability the way that those teams do. I mean, they do have Tony, and Tony's a great player and can really change the game in the way you have to defend Miami. And I think that helps with the run. But I do think Indiana is set up to combat that. I think it's going to be good. Like I said, I think the Iowa matchup in the regular season feeds into more of what this game will look like. I don't know that Miami can beat them, but I do know that I think it's going to be closer than the previous games that have been played with Indiana at this point.
The most interesting aspect of this to me, which I found funny, is I was looking through about how this Final Four, if you will, of the playoff was going to end up playing out, and getting the Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss. It was funny to me because it was like the way that this could actually play out, especially now that Miami's in the championship game and playing against Indiana, is that the story would be if Indiana wins, obviously it'd be like this new coronation for this new championship team. It's a new way to do it. And you see, I mean, heck, I tweeted out just the other night about how fascinating it is to watch. Also just impressive, the massive scale of Indiana's their fan base, the people that have the money, that are able to travel, that dominated and go in and then dominate just by fan total in Miami's home stadium as well when they play for the championship, because there's no way Miami's gonna have more than them. But at the same time, the other part of that is if Miami were to go out and win, everything we said about this, it's funny because we poor little pity pat, whatever Stream was saying, but about the ACC, it would be actually a blue blood or one of the has, I guess, not really holding pat at that point. It would be just another one of those have and have nots winning the title once again in football.
I think this is an interesting thing with Miami because we beat them, SMU beat them. Obviously, we lost to SMU. SMU took a loss to Cal. We took a loss to Cal. I equated into the idea that the ACC is much more competitive than what people are giving it credit for. Right? Mm-hmm. We had a great bowl. We had a great bowl record. I think we were
7-6 versus the SEC, baby.
5-4, 6-4. Yeah, I was trying to take some of the Miami games out of there.
Yeah.
Even though they still count, but they get to play multiple times. We did well, and I think that the teams are better than what we give them. What nationally, not necessarily what we give them credit for. I think we know we play in a good league. It is not the best league.
Yeah, what's the name?
It's not that far away from being what could be the best league, right? It's just not. And I think that we are closer. I think Louisville's closer. I think SMU's closer than what we give it, what we've given credit to being in the position that Miami's in. We're not far from that. I know that we're not happy with the way the season ended, and those close games really hurt. But we're close. We lost 3 games by like 7 full points, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, and that's one of the things to me. It's funny, and that's kind of been a take that I've had where I have, with me and Tarullo on here normally, her being an SEC fan, not only for Kentucky but also for Georgia, though she is actually more BBN than she is from her alma mater. The one thing that I would say is, I think she kind of agrees with me, but I feel like there's obviously still a little bit of that, the SEC elitism that comes in that I have to battle a little bit, which is like, I think the SEC is obviously, you put them in the Big Ten, 1A, 1B, and all that. I get that. And right now it's 1A. Actually, no, it's 1 Big Ten. SEC right now is 2. And then I think the ACC, as far as they want to put that gap there, it's not nearly as big of a gap as it's made to be made felt. And then also by the media, the ESPN, not ESPN Louisville, the ESPNs, all those that have the money involved there. Right. They want to make you feel like, and then obviously we want to talk about all the preseason rankings and everything made to make you feel like all these teams are good. We also talked about how the college football playoff rankings, Tennessee, who didn't do bullshit this season, getting thrown in there in the top 25, didn't have a win against I think a power conference, or I don't even know if it may have been more egregious than that, but I do know at least it wasn't a power conference team with a winning schedule or whatever. Additionally, real quick, I do want to throw out a little bit of a shout out to some people who I apologize. I can't believe I haven't really done this in the past, but shout out to our members on the channel. I want to shout out to Drew Hoskins, Pistol, Weg, and then I think it's Weg, W4G. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. And then Walt Nicholas, who just joined today or yesterday, joined the member squad for ESPN Louisville Plus. If you haven't already, consider doing that. But if you're here right now, I at least would ask you to please subscribe to the channel, like the video. But joining the member squad really does help us to show that you're supporting what we do here, and we can bring you a lot more content down the line as well. And we can do fun little emojis that you have in there. You got L's up, you got L's down, you got Big Reg Strebel as the Incredible Bulk, Nick Valvano playing in a toilet, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, just more stuff that we can bring here on the channel. Sorry, I had to go to my little my plug.
Oh, absolutely. They I think that, and I think it's showing a little bit. Like, I know we're going to get another flood here in the next couple of days, because we've got till Thursday or Friday before the portal actually closes.
Yeah, it's 5 days from now.
So we're going to get another flood here in the next little bit. So it'll another little punch about some stuff, but we're doing incredibly well. I look at quality of out versus in. Yeah. The one thing that's not really computed as well in there is graduates. It's tougher to gauge what that loss is. Our offensive line is clearly taking a hit. We've got good offensive linemen coming in, but God, it's hard to replace guys that have, thousands upon thousands of snaps.
While we're getting
together, I think Lance Robinson coming back, I guess, was a big thing. So.
Well, one of the things I do want to do, let's see if I can screen share this a little bit, and hopefully I'm sharing the right thing. Yeah, I do want to get into a little bit of these portal rankings, and I know BBN, I see you all in here. Swaggy Stein, you threw me off. Was Swaggy Pope, but he says, I don't know who Jason is, but he's absolutely jacked. Yes, he is. Man, there was some great, y'all didn't see it on the last Gas Bags podcast, but you all had some great comments in the chat that you all really need to pay attention to. Guy was saying that your ink from your tattoo, because of how tight your shirt was like melting through your shirt or something like that. They were just great. It was good. There were some good ones in there. Anyway, one of the things I want to get into is some of these rankings and stuff like that here in the portal. Obviously, and I know, take on 3 with a grain of salt, but they have Louisville at number 2, right behind Texas Tech. Some of the analytics they use, the stars, and they have the adjusted NIL value in their index score there. And then obviously they have Louisville at number 2, and they have Kentucky. Did I miss them? Okay, give me.
Kentucky was like number 50 at one point.
Yeah, 46 on theirs. But then if you go to the 2026 transfer portal team rankings for 24/7, Kentucky's 6.
Yeah,
so,
there's 2 sets.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure if it's, do they include?
So I do. So Kentucky got some good offensive linemen.
Yeah, and they got a pretty good running back too today. They say the number 1 in the portal, though I think and that's one I battle a little bit on. That Isaac Brown would, if he stayed in the portal, would have been the top 1. That's who Texas really wanted to go get, right?
Right.
Sorry.
They made a run at it for sure. That was
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay here, so it's definitely given us a little bit of trouble today. But anyway, so one of the things that I want to get into is, are we aware of how they calculate some of these rankings? And again, if you're here for the updates and news, I would shout out Ty Spalding and his group of guys that they give that kind of information out, and they do those streams, and shout out to them, and obviously giving a lot of good information who's coming in. I don't really get into the weeds as much, but it definitely can tell that they're getting in some good players, they're getting in some good guys that I'm feeling in the long run are going to be great for the team. I guess that means, wait, what are the main pieces that you're looking at that you think are going to be the biggest game changers off 3? I see J. Paul.
So I like looking for, it's great to get, obviously you need a quarterback. You need a highly rated quarterback. You need somebody that is going to have some sort of film or experience. And in this particular case, both us and Kentucky, where we took backups, I think we took probably some of the better backups that were available. Kienholz, I'm not exactly sure on how to say it at this particular moment. I'm sure we'll find out soon. Yeah. He was the Iron Buckeye. And the only person I've seen anybody talk, the only person I've even seen scoff at who he is has been Zachy C. Everybody up there from the Columbus area has loved this kid. So,
yeah. The only part of that I'm cautiously optimistic on him. The positive to me is that, he looks like a stud. He looks like that kind of player. Obviously, all the positive comments coming out of Ohio State and the fans there. And then you had the biggest part to me is that he got out there in front of Jeff Brohm, and Jeff Brohm was like, let's just shut it down now. Let's lock this kid up, and let's move forward with him and start trying to develop a team around him. I would like to get a confirmation, and this is something I've said before. I would really like to have a confirmation that Oscar Brohm gave his evaluation on it, because Oscar Brohm was the guy who hand selected Tyler Shuck. And after the Tyler Shuck thing, I want Oscar Brahm's opinion on everything moving forward. Additionally,
we need more Oscar Brohm in the facility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. More Oscar Brohm. His mind seems to work. Look what he put together for his kids and how he developed them moving forward. I realize that now as a dad. I got a kid starting basketball, and I know, and he and I both know. I'm gonna sit him down and be like, buddy, this ain't the sport that you're gonna be built for. But we're gonna get you started, because right now you're taller than most of the other kids, but you're gonna be a short fat kid playing basketball, and it ain't gonna be and white. It ain't gonna be your long term hope. But at the same time, we're gonna start doing drills and stuff like that throughout the week. That being said, talking about him, the one thing I would caution, and Strebel brought this up, and it actually is a good point by Strebel. And Strebel loves to be a hater, and it's funny because I have to it exhausts me sometimes, the stuff that he does on Twitter, and he does it to me going at me, and I'm like, man, this is whatever, and he's like,
irrational hate.
Yeah. But it's also it's I get it. It's part of the bit. I can't do the WWE stuff every day. I was not a WWE fan growing up. I didn't do this, so I wasn't while Nick Valvano and Phil and them want to call me Val Venus when it comes to me doing my Who Impregnated Me last week, which you guys will probably be able to listen to tomorrow on The Take with Andy Sweeney, noon to 3. I'm imagining that I'll probably record one of those segments and send it into Andy, so be sure to tune in for that. But at the same time, what Strebel said was, yes, he could be a great player. He could be, he could be Tyler Shuck. He could be whoever. He could be one of those kind of players. Or he could be BVG, who they had at Kentucky, where all the Georgia people were talking up, and Brock Vandergriff. And they were talking him up and saying how good he is and loving him smooch. but then he never got the starting role. He never earned it while he was there. And then he got here. And again, I will say this. Obviously, Jeff Brohm and Mark Stoops letting you work on an offense are not the exact same. Mark Stoops made 2 quarterbacks announce that they were quitting
totally
football.
Different.
Yeah. So anyway, at the same time, that's why I have a lot of cautious optimism.
So with mine, like the thing that gives me the more gives me less caution in my optimism, because I'm still, I want to see him. I went and I watched as much stuff on him as I could. I watched the Scarlet and Gray game. I went and watched his snaps that he took in whatever blowout against like whoever, Ohio or whatever the team was. I went and watched those. I only saw him go under center one time, and that is a little bit frustrating to me as far as like why Brohm would pick that guy unless he just knows that he can do it, because Brohm demands that out of his quarterback. So, like, hopefully we're not going to have a problem, because Miller Moss, another guy, never really ever been under center. That gives me pause for caution. But as far as like Brock Vandergriff, I didn't hear any Georgia like fans like preaching about how great Brock Vandergriff was. It was kind of like just he's gone.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it was just, it wasn't, well, there was I heard a little bit of positive, but I think it was also kind of one of those things where Kentucky was going out trying to seek positive from the people that they got him from. You know what I mean? I don't think it wasn't like, maybe it wasn't as genuine, as it is from Ohio State fans who have kind of seeked out Louisville or suck out, it's not the word to use, have seeked out the opportunity to heap praise on him. Sought out. Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day. I've had migraine. I've had all kinds of stuff going on. So guys, do me a favor, hit the like button.
All good.
And definitely subscribe over on the YouTube channel while I'm powering through this. A couple things that I want to touch on with you, and we'll touch on this lightly. And I really do want to get into basketball as well tonight. Of the players that are out there, and I'm that Louisville has gotten, do you have any concern? And not off 3, but KSR trying to make it a whole thing about, and they were wrong and they lied about the percentage and the amount of players that are coming from UK to Louisville. But do you have any kind of concern about any of the Kentucky players that Big Dawg Vince Marrow is bringing over for Louisville? I'm looking at it right now. Hartley Gilmore the fourth. I think he was the one who had a little bit of the arrest issues, right, or whatever it was, I think. And then you have Montavian Quisenberry.
Yeah, he got into a fight.
Is that what it was? Was it arrest, or was it just like a citation or what?
He was charged with misdemeanor assault at a storage facility. I don't know any details of why he was there or anything, but it was misdemeanor assault at a storage facility. I don't even know who he assaulted. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. I think he was probably having a disagreement about something and people got stupid.
Yeah, it's not great. It's still not great, but yeah. Anyway, other players, Quisenberry, however you say it, who was a former, I think, Kentucky Mr. Football or whatever, highly sought after. Didn't really get a lot of run. Yeah, Mr. Football. But will be I think a good piece for Louisville moving forward. And then you got Jacob and Jared Smith there. One is an edge and a defensive lineman. There, so I'm trying to think. Is there DJ Waller as well?
Yeah.
Anybody else I'm missing? I think that's all of them.
So there's a guy that we just got from EKU, Tommy Zeismer, who was originally at Kentucky, I think, for 1 year, and then went to EKU because he wasn't, he was involved with and started at Kentucky in some way. I don't know how much time he spent there, but another big dog guy, what's his name? DJ Waller or whatever. He's Youngstown strong. So,
okay.
Am I concerned about it?
Yeah.
He's a good evaluator of talent.
Right.
He's proven that, Kentucky, with what may or may not have been sometimes coaching malpractice, was still a pretty competitive team for the majority of Stoops' tenure. And Big Dawg Vince Marrow was a part of that, a big part of it. So I kind of want to just go ahead and trust his eye in the beginning. This is why we brought him here.
Yeah.
This is why he's the director of player personnel.
Well, and how many years did we? I mean, regardless of what people want to say, I've valued as a Louisville fan. I understand a lot of those years where, we're during the Scott Satterfield era, but I did value that Kentucky did have SEC talent while he was thriving and when he was really out recruiting Louisville. And I mean, it went for a while, even under like the Bob Petrino days, they were getting some really good, especially to talk about the offensive line. They were putting out guys with size. They were, like guys that were just SEC quality talent. So I'm hopeful there. At the same time, I'm going to be reserved and see what happens moving forward. I think one of the positives too is we talked about that larger sum donation that Louisville basketball received in the last couple weeks or so leading into this. And that's where, we talked a little bit about people trying, a lot of people want to hype up the involvement from the donors from the past that are hopefully coming back to the table. Guys we talk about Dr. Mark Lynn, Vision Works and those kind of guys. And these are guys that are Jurich guys. I think maybe some people are maybe stepping a little too far and saying that Tom Jurich is getting this done and that he's the one doing it. But at the same time, if he's at least shifted and not trying to gatekeep a lot of this stuff, that's fine. And I'll take that. I appreciate it. But at the same time, I think let's not also downplay what it's being done here by a pretty damn good athletic director in Josh Hurd. And I think we're kind of seeing that now. Still have a couple questions about the long-term investment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job. I think that there may have been some hesitation from some of those guys that were Jurich people to really be involved with the program again until we kind of made that big step towards the appreciation of what Tom accomplished here. And do I think Tom's the most important person today to the university or to the athletic department? No, he was, but he's one of the most important people. He's like a top 3 kind of guy and what we've become as a university. And we couldn't be here without him. So that's an important thing to acknowledge, but that doesn't mean that Josh isn't doing a beyond fantastic job, literally a leaps and bounds above what I thought was maybe possible in the early stages. I thought it would take a little bit longer to get his feet underneath him.
I think there's definitely truth to that. There is some concern that I have that I'll always have when it comes to, certain struggles that the basketball programs had and some of the options there. But I think we're also kind of seeing the landscape of basketball and Pat Kelsey, who's a tremendous coach, but at the same time, getting Louisville exactly where it needs to be. But also in football, the one question I still have, and we've covered it for how many weeks, talking about, I don't want to say fraudulent, but almost semi-fraudulent, will he go, will he stay kind of stuff. That was, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm sorry. People like to get on me and they get mad. Why are you talking about this? Brohm's not leaving. I mean, as long as it's out there and nobody's saying it's not going to happen, we need to talk about it. Or what happens if we get blindsided and then it's just he's gone and then it's like, well, why the fuck didn't you talk about it? Why did you not spend the last 3 weeks? Well, Joe Bob from not Pikeville, Joe Bob from Fairdale was upset that I was saying that there was even a possibility of Jeff Brohm leaving. So I didn't do it. I didn't want to cover it. I didn't want to upset him. You know what I mean? So that kind of situation, still something to keep an eye on, especially when it's one of the best schools in the country.
I'm not in that boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not in that boat entirely. I don't think we're going to be all the way. I don't believe we're going to ever be blindsided by them, by the Brohm family. I think they respect the city. They're literally, there's so many Brohms in the city. It's crazy. Not to be surprised. They're a Catholic family, right? Hey, listen, they're big. There's a lot of them. So what the city has done for them and what they have contributed back to the city and the love that they've shown and all of that is going to lead to them being, I think, very upfront. So if there is something that's real, I think he's going to go ahead and bring that up when it's real. I think he did a very good job when needed to kind of step out there and be like, hey, listen, this is the job that I have. And I think people are used to hearing that from Scott Satterfield, from Bobby Petrino, from whoever, from Charlie Strong, and going, yeah, right, sure, yeah, that's what everybody says, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't believe we're dealing with a person that is going to treat us the way everyone else treated us. As a fan base, as a university. So we're going to get more respect in that communication process. And where we should still talk about it, right? Because it's good for our head coach to be considered for places like Penn State or Michigan, because that means he is valuable, which other people are going to hear and see that. That means we get better players because he's now a person that gets talked about all the time. Go for it. Talk about it all the time. It's fine with me. I don't think he's going anywhere except for the NFL personally. I think that this has been the setup for the thing that he wanted to do the most and get back here and what it means to him to try to continue, Howard's legacy and things like that. I think those are things that are important to him. And he's not a climb the ladder guy. I don't believe he's looking for more money or anything like that. So I'm in belief that we're good here for a while. And then even after, I think Brian will get sent away. That's actually an interesting thing that happened over the weekend with Paul Petrino. I think if Paul's here, and then there's the potential that Paul could become the offensive coordinator, that it could make space for Brian to go be a head coach somewhere else, which I think would be good for him too. Yeah. So I'm not saying that's what's happening. I don't have any insight or anything like that, but it feels like it.
I don't doubt that Brian has aspirations of wanting to be that. I think it's going to be difficult to find a good situation, because we've also seen a couple times where Brian kind of tried to throw his hat in the ring with some lower level schools, and he really didn't get them to bite at all, it seems like. And I think it's going to be difficult being the offensive coordinator for your brother Jeff, because we all know he is the guy kind of thing. And regardless, you don't want to like diminish Brian Brohm's involvement. I know he was a great quarterback. He's my favorite quarterback of all time at the University of Louisville. Those are my favorite years that I'll always look back on, were the Brian Brohm years. And that was when I was in high school, and I have nothing but love and adoration for him. But at the same time, I think it's going to be hard to get out of your brother's shadow until you go somewhere else. It's almost, I do understand why a couple of people talked about, could he go to another school as an offensive coordinator just to try to let him flex his muscles a little bit, show what he can do without his brother. I don't want that to happen, obviously, if he is as good as, as I hope or expect him to be, given what he's learned from his brother. But, you want the best for your people. That being said, Paul Petrino, he comes back in a role as, is he the wide, what position is he coaching? It's on offense. Is it wide receiver, tight ends? I can't remember. Tight ends. And well, why would we need him when we have Big Dawg on staff? Why would we need to go get a tight end coach when we got Big Dawg?
Right. Yeah. That's what he did so well at Kentucky, is he coached tight ends. That's what happened.
Yeah.
He was in the lab all the time just grinding with those guys.
Yeah. So, it's cool. I know also this isn't the first time, because I think isn't Paul Petrino's son also on staff in some capacity? I think that's what it was before. So we actually have two Petrinos on staff right now. So it's interesting, nonetheless, just to have kind of that little bit of that coming back together of so many of the staff members from that era. Once again, with Paul Petrino coming back, we'll see. I don't know. At least you got a guy you can plug and play if Brian Brohm gets an opportunity to. Kind of that he knows what Jeff wants to do. Jeff knows him, and they would be comfortable just kind of putting him up in there. I do have a little bit of, I don't want to say concern, because I don't really care if Louisville becomes, I don't need Jeff Brohm to be Saban. You know what I mean? Well, winning, yes. But what I mean is, like, I don't need him to develop the Pitino coaching tree. Like, I don't really care that much about that. But sometimes, a lot of times, success comes with coming and developing great coaches underneath you. Real quick, Charles L. Routine said, I had never heard of Josh until he became AD. Had he always been here? He had been here previously. He was under Tom Jurich back in the day, and then he went to Villanova, and he was at Villanova. And then did he come back again before he really got the role, or did he come from Villanova here when he was installed?
I think he had a short stint right when Tyra was here. He was like here for 1 year with Tyra or something, and then he went back up to Villanova as the I think he was the assistant AD he was charged mostly with basketball. There was or maybe that was the first time he was in Villanova,
which is why it was so important to get him to come back when Tyra left. Because there was a guy who you really felt confident, or at least the people in power felt confident could get basketball where it needed to be. Unfortunately, he was handcuffed with the hire of Kenny Payne. He had no other choice, and he had to move on through there. Chris Curry goes on to say, could the IU donors stepping up and their immediate success also have been incentive for some Louisville donors to come back on board? Yes, but the difference is Indiana has a wealth that Louisville cannot compete with. Oof. Which is insane to say. Many. It is, but it's and that's kind of like what I touched on in my tweet, is it really is a superpower. Like, now that it's no longer cheating, there are schools that have the stockpile of wealth, that have these donors, that have this alumni base, that they are able to come back in, and you're going to be able to see them leapfrog a lot of the haves. I mean, look at Alabama right now. Not to say that Alabama's, in the worst condition ever, but you're seeing them get jumped by guys like Indiana and all this quickly. And I don't know if until that they're able to establish some kind of ground rules for limitations, either cap space or whatever it's going to be, a salary cap or something like that, it's going to be difficult for a lot of the haves that don't have that kind of donor base, that don't have that kind of money to continue to succeed at that level. And you're going to see a lot of these, Vanderbilt's coming out of nowhere. Indiana's coming out of nowhere and winning at high clips. So it's interesting nonetheless to watch, but at the same time, I'm as a Louisville fan, and not saying we're not a have, but we're a little bit closer to a have not when it comes to the financials there. Maybe go ahead and let's go ahead and put some cuffs on this and let's figure out how to get us back where we want to be.
I think there was, I think when all this happened and we were doing the Gas Bag podcast there, just audio in the studio, when we were really digging in and NIL was becoming like, hey, this is for real and this is really what's going to happen. And my immediate take was, hey, man, there's about 10 schools that weren't real great before that you're going to have to be super careful about what they're about to do. And Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Indiana, Texas Tech. I was just naming off those schools. I'm like, listen, all of these schools, their alumni base is insane. And they have so much money. They founded the entire school of Texas Tech literally on the idea of how do we find oil. Yep. It's literally their geology, their geology tech is freakish, right? That's what they're there for. So, their alumni base is, unbelievably wealthy.
Yeah, I was trying to look.
The same Indiana. Indiana's got the largest living alumni base, and you're blown away. Now, Indiana did a smart thing. They include all of the satellite schools. So, if you graduate from IUS, you're Indiana alumni base, and they send you stuff like your IU Bloomington. That's how that works.
That's where we struggle. That's where we don't, not being a state school as well. You really are playing behind some of these because they have all these little satellites at so many different places. It's something of interest to watch, and something I'm excited about, the team they're putting together, the guys that are coming back. I think Louisville is in a good spot moving into next year. We'll see, and we'll keep an eye on, who comes and who goes or whatever throughout this next week. But definitely something to pay attention to. And I think also Indiana and Miami will end up getting a 5-day extra extension on the portal. Kind of, I think that's what they do for the championship teams.
Yes.
That works. Something like that. Yeah. Excuse me, just a second. Sorry, I don't have a cough button. That's the closest thing I have to a cough button over here. Anyway, I'm trying to see if there's anything else really that I want to talk about. We talked about ACC and better that. I think I really I'm ready to get into basketball now. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to talk a little bit of basketball. Yeah. And the main reason is I have feelings, I have frustrations, I have emotions coming off of that game this weekend. It's going to be an interesting who impregnated me this week. So definitely tune into Sweetie's show for that one because I'll have opinions to give in that one. Obviously, Senan DeFru has been kind of one of those little the jewel to me. I feel like of this season, what he's done since he's come on, but the whole situation about like leading into the 6 games in a row of no Mikel Brown Jr. And it's one of those situations where no matter what, I'm an asshole if I talk about it or if I have any kind of criticism about it. But because I've seen people come in the comments of the videos I've done and said, bro, you didn't have any real back pain. I'm like, bro, like my fat ass, I've had back pain. Like I had back pain, and I understand maybe not a serious back injury to that level, but like he came out. And, there were the rumors and innuendo that I think Goodman and people like that put out saying about like a weightlifting injury or something like that happened. And then Mikel Brown felt the need to come out there and to deny it and say that there wasn't a weightlifting injury, which makes the most sense, right? Or they wasn't at least put into his position.
You're right. So I remember hearing pieces of this and the way I took it, the way I heard all of these things was not that Mikel Brown hurt himself in the weight room, but that it had happened, and then in the following week he was in the weight room and he had aggravated it to the point that he was no longer capable of dealing with it, just in a pain management way. Like, hey, I need to take time off, kind of thing. Like this is becoming a step too far for me. They don't send people that they took him to Atlanta to see a specialist. They don't put you on a private jet and send you to Atlanta to see a specialist for no real good reason. I mean, this kid's hurt, and like I got it that sometimes we get on. We've watched LeBron be out for numerous games with back spasms and things like that. They're rough on you. I did 20 years in the military, and I wake up every day and my whole freaking body hurts. Like I feel like I'm 60 and I'm not. And like I just continue to muscle through it. But I'm also not a fine-tuned athlete that like this little thing can really cause your body a problem in the way that you try to go about your day, like the need to exercise, the need to work out, the need to be in the gym, the need to rest and recover, and all of those things. Like it's not we're not the same as what they are. We're just not.
I think the issue for me, or I guess more my question comes from, is it makes sense for you. Like I have friends in the military and do all that, and I understand the wear and tear on your body, and I get that. I understand the amount of lifting and all that. He's an 18-year-old kid. So it's almost shocking to me to see this kind of injury at that age. Usually you recover quickly, you bounce back. And I understand if it's it must be a serious injury if, like you said, if he's going down to Atlanta and if he's been out for this long the confusing part to me though was the Cal game or in Stanford where it's like right before Cal, he thought he was going to be good to go and he got out there and just said he couldn't go. So like to me, that's what's confusing to me is like, did it re-aggravate? What happened there? As well as, and the big story is obviously talking about the move that I don't want to call it a desperation move, but the idea of activating London Johnson. And that what that means to me is as big and as important as it may be to bring him on is really the story is what that means is that we're probably, I'm guessing, not seeing Mikel Brown Jr. like again this season, if that's what's happening, if that's what it appears to me at least.
So I kind of work in the idea that like me as a person and a lot of the people that I served with, we're F-350s, right? We're big workhorse trucks. Mikel Brown's a Ferrari. Like but we have different functions. Like I'm built to, get dinged up. I'm supposed to be off-road and rugged and tough. Whereas Mikel Brown is a Ferrari. He's supposed to be on a track, moving quick, optimal conditions, all of those things. And sometimes when optimal conditions aren't met, it's hard to deal with them. it's tough to say with the Johnson thing because it does feel like when that happens that you're looking at like, oh shit, maybe we heard something that like he's not coming back. But then maybe it's one of those things like he's going to come back, but hey, how about we don't put as much on him? And if we're not going to put as much on him, hey, how about we activate this guy and we make him give him relief. Like, hey, Mikel, we only need 12 minutes out of you, right? Because we can split it amongst, Kobe and London.
Yeah, there's a couple issues there for me. I guess for me personally, the way that I look at it is that could be true. And if he's not come back, then it feels a little bit more desperation to bring London in. I guess my question is, if you had the opportunity to bring him in, period, especially we're in the NIL era now, like it's not guaranteed. It's not promised that London Johnson would be here next year anyway. If he's just sitting around practicing, like, yes, Louisville's a team that's giving him the opportunity and giving him money. But if somebody else stepped around and said that he was good enough, who's to say that he's here when next season starts? So like, I feel like it's almost doing us a disservice by not using him to start anyway. So that's one of the things, or not to start, but to start playing him is what I mean. So it's kind of shocking there as well. I think one thing I wonder if there's any kind of concern with is Mikel Brown Jr. How much of a factor is his NBA draft stock? We've seen it already tumble a little bit just because of, I think, concerns with his injuries, not playing, other guys getting more shot and opportunity. To me, it feels like it would behoove him to come out and get some more playing time if he's going to be healthy enough. But maybe he's also a guy who is impressive enough that he can go out there and get his runs and show out what he can do after he's rested off until the combine or whatever. And maybe that's more appealing to him. But to me, that's almost shocking. That we're at the point in the season that we are, and we're just now coming down to that kind of decision.
Yeah, we obviously want to protect the kid. We don't want future, if he's in the case that he is an injured player, we don't want future people of his caliber to be worried about what we're going to do with you if you get unhealthy and can't come through. We have to set a precedent for some of that. Specifically, Pat Kelsey has to set a precedent for some of that, so that he has the reputation. Louisville has its own individual reputation, but the coach's reputation is going to matter more right now than even the universities. So we need to handle it in a specific way so that Mikel is taken care of properly. And I'm not saying we just, bow to whatever, and maybe he is not being forthwith with us and, honest, and maybe he's really not hurt, because again, this is one of those things it's really tricky to diagnose, because like it can just be nerve stuff, and it's hard to figure out what nerve stuff does. And so a doctor may be just kind of shrugging his shoulders and like, if he says he's hurting, he's got to be hurting. And if he didn't seem like the kid, he didn't seem like the family that would do something like that. Not saying that everybody's not capable of it in this situation, but they didn't seem that way. Like in comparison to other people who had been recruits other places before, who the family seemed very involved, very selfish. John Morant would be a great example, even to this day in the NBA, of how his dad is sticking his nose in places that doesn't belong.
What counter to that, the only thing I would say is there was a little bit of that of like pushback between Mikel Brown Jr.'s father and the Louisville fan base over some of the criticisms and things like that. And part of me wonders if there's a little bit of that, kind of like that left a bad taste in his mouth, or left a bad taste that they kind of said, bleat this. We're going to, people get a little bit emotional in these moments and just say, we're going to worry about you. We're not going to, put yourself at risk. Additionally, it's funny timing. And of course I put the tweet out, and I'm going to troll. I'm going to have fun, UK fans. It's fine. But like people got in their feelings because I tweeted about Jane Quainton's dad pulling the plug on him. And I mean, I still, Prove to me that didn't. Prove to me that hasn't happened. And of course, unfortunately for him, UK went out and looked better than they have in a long time without him. Even though he is, to me, I think he is still the most quality player that they have on that roster. But so, and we've seen how vocal he has been as well. The dad of Jaden Quaintance about criticism about Mark Pope, the way the team's being utilized, the construction of talent, and all that. And it's a situation that makes me wonder if that is also what we're seeing, and that's what we're going to see a lot more of, which I don't know how this is sustainable at that point then, because if I'm a donor and I have no money, obviously, but if I had the money and I'm shelling out, millions of dollars for a kid to come play and he plays half a season or less, you're not getting it next year. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, nobody has. I mean, yeah, there's some people that have money that I can't even dream of, but to be able to sustain this and to keep paying players a few $1 million a year or whatever it is just not going to work in the long term for college basketball. There's just no way you're getting a good enough return on your investment there.
I mean, if we're being honest, there's almost no return on investment other than potentially good times, right? Yeah. Like that's what we're looking at. Like, you're not getting any of that money back. It's not invested in a company that you're getting some sort of return out of. You can't be a partial owner of the University of Louisville. Wouldn't that be nuts? Those things can't happen. So like, you're just giving money at this point. And I get that in some ways you can find creative ways to make some of this write-off, especially if you're you're a business owner. You can find a way, the loopholes that are needed to write some of that money off, and maybe it doesn't hurt quite as bad. So that's why you give a little more. But at the same time, it isn't sustainable. Like you said in the beginning, as far as the have and have-nots and some of these teams that have shown up out of nowhere, there's going to need to be some regulation. And honestly, as Louisville, even though we're doing better than Toledo and we're doing better than probably Memphis, we're in the group. And honestly, I think Kentucky probably is too, that needs to be raising their hand going, hey, maybe not the Wild West guys. Like, hey, maybe we get a little bit of handle on this. But this was all brought on by the NCAA. And Nick said it really funny the last week or so. He was talking about, hey, the NCAA was the overbearing parent that was like, no, stay away from drugs and alcohol. Listen, don't even touch sugar and all that stuff. And then they were the teenagers kept bothering them. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, fine, screw it. Here's black tar heroin. Have fun. Enjoy it now. like
fuck it. There you go.
That's the extreme that it went from. Like just fuck it. You want it, you have it. Screw it. Here, we don't even care anymore. That's exactly what it feels like happened. And because the NCAA has been nerfed to the point that it has been, I do not think they're going to be the situation that they're not going to be the organization that gets back control of this. It's probably going to be the U.S. government that has to do this in some way.
Where's Luther? Where's Luther? Trump, get in action, man. Trump, how are you gonna figure this out for me? How are you gonna how are you gonna solve this, Trump? He's got his hands full as it is right now. Maybe he's choosing. I don't know why I decided politics is the way I wanted to go. Anyway, one of the things too, I do want to just pass this by you while we're talking about that whole situation. I guess looking at this team and this Louisville basketball team, I have so many criticisms about the roster construction that Pat Kelsey does. I get it, and I see the vision for what he had when it comes to like just pure scores, getting guys who are going to fill it up. And I get it. Early on in the season, we benefited off pretty highly early on when guys are just hitting. But I think now we're starting to see a little bit of that regression to the mean, and guys like, and Lachlan McLean, you're right again, buddy. When it comes to Isaac McNeely, where you at? Isaac McNeely, I have so many criticisms. I get it. He scored 13 points last game, and at the end, fine. I would also like to see some kind of breakdown. Maybe this is something that I'm gonna have to take on my time. I want to see how many points that he's purely responsible for giving up every game, because I do not think that it's a positive that we're walking away with from Isaac McNeely, because his defense is absolute bullshit. Like, I am so pissed when I watch him. There's not, like, even the effort. It's so easy for a guy just to shrug him off that, like, there's no point to having him on there if you're not hitting threes. And when you start out 0 for 6 behind the arc, I think at that point, and I'm not, I'm usually more in the camp of Rick Pitino, even if you're not hitting, if you're trying kind of thing, but he's not trying on defense. He's not doing anything else to help the team. At that point, he is a detriment. You're wasting a spot, during the game. And then there's some other guys too, but just the lack of bigs, the lack of dominant bigs, guys who can really be a force, use their weight. Sanander Fru's doing everything he can, but guys keep going away from him, and we don't have good guys to back him up. Kenai Roos, sorry, I'm going to shut up. Kenai Roos, another guy who I feel like who should have been getting more time to assert himself. There's things that I asked for, but we're just not seeing that. We're seeing other guys getting opportunities. We're seeing maybe a little bit of confidence being taken away from some of those players that really need to build it up. And that's where I have a little bit of frustration about the way Pat Kelsey likes to operate in his team.
Yeah, so I agree. And the idea, like, McNeely's he's looked like a matador, right? Like he's just letting people. It's
right by him.
It's frustrating. What I know that what Pitino used to, and I'm sure that I hope that Kelsey charts is blow-bys, right? That was a big thing within what Pitino tried to coach is, listen, we don't give those up. So I assume, because I've never heard him talk about it, I assume that he does that too, because I would assume that all successful coaches do that. McNeely and some of the other shooters, I think, are suffering from the fact that in the beginning, maybe defenses weren't quite as aggressive on them, and now they're getting pushed back out a little bit further. So the shot that used to be, a half a second longer to take is not. You have to be quicker, which means you have to be set faster, which means you have to be in a better shooting position. Like it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And not having Mikel, right, who is the orchestrator of the offense on the floor, I think matters in the setup for a lot of the people who are shooters, because we're not designed. The team wasn't designed in the idea of guys creating their own shots all the time. And that's what we've almost fallen into, is the need to create your own shot all the time, because we don't have a point guard orchestrating the offense, creating what we need. And now with the bigs, I will be flat honest with you. There's nothing I hate more, and I know he hit 4 of them the other day. There's nothing I hate more than watching Ali Khalifa in a game.
Yeah,
he runs worse than I do, like way worse than I do, and I don't like. It's awful to watch. He's a great passer, and I'm not gonna. He sees stuff incredibly well, but I don't think it's worth it. Like last year, having him on the team and wasting that scholarship and not going getting somebody else, I don't believe we're getting value out of it.
Ali Khalifa has the court vision and the passing ability of, I mean, I hate to say it, it almost makes me want to vomit to say this, but like David Padgett. The problem is he doesn't have anything else that David Padgett can do. He doesn't have any of the physicality. He doesn't have any of the defensive mindset. He has no drive to be a big man. He doesn't want to be a big man. He's a point guard in a big dude's body, and he refuses to play otherwise. That's a problem too when we have guys like Kason Breyer, who has fallen off a cliff last season. And obviously he got injured, so he's been out. But and I don't know if we were sold fool's gold with what the player that he was for that first quarter of the season before he got hurt. Was it in the Indiana game or right before playing Oklahoma? And just seeing what has happened with him, and just the failure, I guess, of him has been frustrating to me. But he also plays like they don't want to play like bigs. They refuse to play like bigs, and that's what bothers me. I also need. Right. I think Steve Robbins said this last week, talking about the development in Sananderfru's game and getting him to operate like a big man, to, put his butt out and get that big paw out there and call for the ball in the post and like to really work his man. And he was doing it. And the next thing you know, guys revert back to doing what they're used to, which is basically just shooting it around, passing it around the edge and trying to hit a three and refusing to even look at him. So it just takes away that entire game, and then defenses can adjust and only focus on your deep shooting and not worry at all about the interior because you're not going to go do it. And that's another frustration that I have. I also defensively, I don't understand why we haven't really fully embraced, going to a 2-3 zone. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me why, especially when we have guys that struggle so much. That usually seems like to be the great equalizer outside of guys, like Rick Pitino and all that who are able to figure it out. Like, I feel like, it's a magic trick. Pull the magic trick on somebody. That's what we need at this point, and I don't get why we choose not to. Additionally, Chris Curry goes on to say, McNeely played defense in Tony Bennett's pack line. Scary, huh? But it's predicated on help, though. So that's interesting too. Yeah, Andy Easton says I hated the pack line under Chris Mack, and I still hate it under Pat Kelsey. Yep. Yeah.
That's the thing is, like, whereas Pat doesn't play what we would call like the traditional pack line, it still kind of is. And like, he's very Skip Prosser, right? Like, he's very rooted in some of that like mindset. So like, going to a zone for him feels incredibly foreign. Like, I think like him trying to learn an entire new language. I'm sure he's ran one before, and I'm sure that they could figure out how to coach it into them. I mean, it's not massively complicated, but like, at the same time, you're changing the entire thought process of your team. If you did not instill that over the summer, it's probably a really tough gear to switch into. I kind of give him a little bit of break on that. Hey, listen, if you guys haven't been, if this wasn't a weapon that you were honing when it didn't matter, you probably aren't going to actually figure it out when it does. So,
can I also give a take?
We might be worse.
Yeah, yeah, right. Can I give a take?
Always.
The Prosser, the love for Prosser, and continuing, like, we just got beat over the head. Just beat over the head by Chris Mack about him. And now we're getting it from Pat Kelsey. And I've never seen people love up a coach who has done what? like what did he make? Did he make a Sweet 16? I think one time. A coach that's never won a national title. A coach that's really done what? And I understand maybe he set some good foundation for a lot of guys moving forward. But like, that to me, I don't know. It just feels like, and this is just, this is not a take that I've really built up a lot of digging in my hatred for him. But what I mean is, like, I am so sick and tired of being beat over the head by Chris Mack and now Pat Kelsey about Prosser, about how great of a coach he is, for a coach that really didn't I feel like achieve that much during his time coaching. Outside of maybe setting some foundation for a couple schools here and there, that's fine, but nothing to really, like, it ain't Rick Pitino. It ain't Rick Pitino, who came from the tree of Bob Knight to Coach K to Rick Pitino or Jim Boeheim, Rick Pitino, all the guys that he's got, all the national championships, all the success there. Instead, it's Prosser, and it's just like, okay, what's he done? The Sweet 16, cool. Who gives a shit? Like,
I agree. And Skip Prosser was a unique guy in that particular case, right? Like, so in his uniqueness, that the defense, playing the pack line defense, and setting up Xavier and setting up Wake Forest to be pretty competitive schools in the future. So Howard Schnellenberger light, right? Mm-hmm. So and like, people may not like this a whole lot. Like, Howard was really successful at Miami, and then of course we love what he did here at Louisville. But like, it's not like he won a national championship, and he didn't go on to build other national championship schools. So like, yeah, we love him. We love him because he's ours.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
And
it's Pat.
He
and
was
Chris.
a great coach, and I think he was very exactly.
Sorry, sorry, it's
They
my
loved
fault.
him
I
'cause
interject,
he was theirs.
and then there's a delay, so it just gets awkward. I apologize for doing that.
No big deal. Like again, it literally. That's why they. Jeff talks about Howard because he meant so much to him. And I do think that inside of that, we believe in Howard's legacy. And, we're always going to hear that, Louisville's on a crash course with the national championship. The only variable is time. Well, That's the most Yogi statement ever, right? Of course, the only variable is time. Yes, there's the potential that could happen at any moment. But we love it, and that's fine because it's ours. Same thing with them. They love Skip because he's the guy that believed in them. So, yeah, it's tough, and Skip really didn't do anything. You're right.
Yeah.
There's no real solid accomplishment. What he got Chris Paul. I think he may have been at Wake Forest for. Nope, he did not. He was not at Wake Forest for Tim Duncan.
Nope.
So Chris Paul.
And like I said, I did a quick I did a quick Wikipedia scan of him. I'm like, okay, what did he do that I was either too young or not alive yet? So, what was the history there? And it just wasn't anything that blew me away. Real quick, shout out our guy, Walt Nicholas, 3291, one of our newest member on the channel, and I really appreciate you. Since you're here, I want to take a moment just to say thank you. I appreciate the support. It's people like you that are your support as a member and your constant support on the channel and commenting, all that stuff really does help us and really helps to kind of give us the data to really show and reflect at ESPN Louisville that this is something that we can really build upon. But he says Khalifa's game would be fine at a mid-major, but at this level, it seems like coach misevaluated or compromised to bring him here and injured no less. Can we also just say what the elephant in the room? Was it just that he just wanted to get a shot against UK's new coach at the time? He got the Pope guy. He went and got the guy instead of transferring to go to Pope. You know what I mean? And that's what I felt like at the time. It felt like, okay, but did Pope really want him? I mean, then we see what's happened with Kentucky since then. But it was just one of those things where I feel like we really wanted to get a win. Or Pat Kelsey was like, I have an opportunity to get a win over UK early. We can use that for a little bit of fodder. And they did it. And it's like, what good did it do you? Additionally, our guy, Joe MFTV.
You remember it was him and Waterman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Waterman. Holy shit, yeah. Wow, that's the problem with the NIL era. How did I forget about Waterman? I haven't said Waterman's name once this season. I totally forgot about him. Wow. That being said, Joe MFTV family says, okay, Ole Miss sucks, but we really could use Scott to share minutes with Frew. I absolutely agree with that. That was a big miss, I think, not being able to keep James Scott here. I think him and Frew together, and throw Kanai in there somewhat in some factor, and I feel like we'd have a much better front court there to work with. Yeah. So
I think James Scott would have made Ruth's better.
What? Say that again. You cut out for me.
I think James Scott would have made Kahani Roos better, or Kanai Roos better, because the competition would have been there for that position, and they would have been battling each other. It would have forced Roos to be more of an inside presence and maybe be a little bit more aggressive, because Scott was never really going to drag away from the rim, and the way that we used him would have forced Kanai into that space. And I think that he already has an okay outside game. There's still a thing about the way he shoots the basketball. He's got his wrist turned funny, so the ball has awkward rotation coming off of it. But my brain, when I watch it come off, I shake. So I think that his development as an inside player would be more beneficial to a guy that could occasionally shoot a three, but was more powerful inside. And James Scott would have driven Roots to be that person.
I absolutely agree with you. Continuing on, Anthony Easton says the guy really wanted to play alongside Frew was Baba Miller, who was wasting away at Cincinnati. Yeah, I agree with that. And then James Scott's doing nothing at Ole Miss. Yeah, but that's the thing. He's doing nothing there. But we saw what he could do here. We saw that he was useful when he was at Louisville. And I liked him. I really did like James Scott while he was here. Chris Curry says Khalifa dropped 50 pounds, but we still can't get a dunk. Dude, he's anything physical, any kind of physicality, you're not getting out of him. It's just not happening. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, real quick, guys, if you haven't already,
breakaway.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, do me a favor. Let me go ahead and plug a little bit more. If you haven't already, do me a favor. Smash the freaking like button on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join there. I try to do a lot of content throughout the week. You get the shorts. You get all that kind of stuff as well. If you haven't already, consider joining the member squad like my guy Walt Nicholas did. I appreciate the support. Additionally, the show is it Tuesday or Wednesday this week? The Gas Bags podcast with my guy Jinky here, Nick Valvano, and Tanner.
I think it's going to end up being Wednesday because of the basketball game.
Is it? Okay. So Wednesday at 7:00, you can watch them. They'll have you covered there for all things, with whether it's UVA, UK, sometimes. And they also like to have fun with the Nick Valvano kind of stuff. The eating Twinkies or whatever it is on a couch.
Yeah, very eating food and doing. That's exactly what we do.
Exactly. It's fun. Then we got WVet says IU unfortunately would have embarrassed Louisville in football, just like Louisville has embarrassed IU and owned the rivalry with IU in basketball. And that's not changing anytime soon. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I'll tell you right now. I remember I was hanging out in the pool this summer with some family on my wife's side, and a guy who, it's the weirdest guy, not weirdest guy, sorry, Kenny. If you're listening, my paisan on the wife's side, Kenny Turry, he, shout out if you're watching, but he came out with me, and it's the weirdest thing. He is a Big Ten fan. He cheers for all Big Ten schools, and I don't know how you operate this way. It doesn't seem fair. It also seems kind of like bullshit. But anyway, he cheers for Indiana. He cheers for Ohio State, and he was talking up Indiana, and so like me and the people that were UK and UL fans, we were all going at him, and like they weren't doing the street thing. The UK people were on my side, saying that Indiana, they're scared to play that game. Louisville would have won that game, and then I'm sitting here now looking like I do, saying, wow, like I am still almost it's a frustration for me because it's almost unbelievable of what Kurt Signetti has been able to do. He's an amazing head coach. Indiana's fan base has been amazing. It's really, it is a fairy tale story. It's Cinderella of college football that I never thought I would be able to see. I remember Jack Grossman a few years ago making jokes about 9-win Indiana. That was during the COVID times where it was like they might be able to win because everybody else is down, everybody else is having issues. And look at him now, 2026, and they're about to more than likely walk away with the national championship.
So I have a weird take on this, and it's mostly to aggravate Indiana fans. Yeah. If Miami wins this coming week, if Miami's the national champion, there's nothing to say that IU wasn't ducking us. You didn't prove it in any way because we beat the team that beat you. So show me how you weren't ducking us.
Yeah, we can just troll as long as we want. We can keep trolling until the sun comes home. I guess that's the only real rooting interest left. Is now it gives me a reason to really get behind Miami and kind of root for Miami. Go ACC.
I need troll fodder. I need the ability to make them as angry as I can for no good reason. Because I think the interesting thing about the NIL era is even teams. I think there may be a couple schools. Indiana might be one of them. I'm not sure yet. I don't think anybody's going to be great in two of the big sports, right? Like the two big ones, like men's basketball and football. I don't think anybody has the sustainability to accomplish getting both of them at the same time, right? Yeah. I think they can be good in one and great in another, or you can be really good in both. But I don't think you can be great in both of them. If somebody goes out and wins a national championship in both sports coming up here, I would be really, really, really shocked because it's just a freak. It's an arms race, and you got to pick which gun you want to supply the most to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One of the comments that I missed earlier, I apologize, Ryan Wycliffe said, with Big Dawg leading our recruiting team, does U of L have a good chance at being a consistent threat in battles for top talent in the nation? I'm going to let you answer how you feel about that. Because, I'll be honest, I'm going to be negative on everything.
I don't know that the Big Dawg was ever really in a bunch of battles for the top talent. He's good at finding talent in multiple places. Like, I don't think he was ever known for, hey, Kentucky's just, slaying 5 stars for no good reason, right? Mm-hmm. I think they got one. What they get the one kid that had bounced around schools here in Louisville and ended up in Charlestown as an offensive tackle, but he had awful feet, like he couldn't move. So where he was a 5-star, it didn't matter. And then there were a couple other ones, Cutter Bowley's one of them, but he played at a 1A school in Kentucky. So I don't care. Yeah, Matt Elam's another one. God, actually all of the 5 stars that I can think that they got were awful. So I don't think him going after highly ranked people is the right thing. I think him being him, going after people he thinks that can play ball is the reason we have him here. And hopefully, we can find those. Because if you look at like Indiana's not laden with 5 stars.
Yeah, honestly, I think my thing more is I think his relationship development is really the important part. I think it's more of the going out there and Jeff Brohm or whoever else scouting and the other guys they brought in that are scouting out there. Find the guys that you really want who are going to fit his system and then send Big Dawg out there and develop those relationships. And that's where he really shines. It's a guy out there who, for some reason, every person who knows him loves him, loves who he is as a person. I mean, if you guys watch this channel, watch this show with myself and Anna Tarullo loves him as much as anybody. The relationship with him and what she knows from working at BBN Tonight and all that, she will hype him up as much as anybody. And it's just that's something about him. It's something, like you said, the silver tongue. Certain people have it. Certain people just have an aura about them that attracts other people to them and makes them trust them and want to work with them. So that's really what he brings. So it's a weird way to say, it's a weird way to answer no, but in a positive way, if that makes sense. At the same time, yes, he's not going to go out there and get you whoever you want at whatever you want, especially because right now, just it's all so much about money more than it ever has been. But at the same time, I feel like he's going to improve your ability to get the guys that you really want to hone in on in the future. We see that. We see what he was able to do of locking back Isaac Brown, getting him to come back, getting Watts to come back, getting Green to come back. All those relationships, they matter. And I feel like that's something that he really brings to the table that we haven't really had in the past. Sorry, Pete Nocta.
I agree.
Anyway. And I love Pete Nocta. He was a good guy, and he dealt with a lot, but he also lived down the street from a couple of my friends until he moved just recently. But anyway, and I appreciate, thank you for hopping on today. We've been going over a little bit over an hour. I don't want to take up, you got to wake up early, and so do I for work tomorrow. And also, this was just not really a highly newsworthy Sunday night. So it was good. It was a good nice little run with us and for everybody to come hang out, talk about our feelings, and then really get ready. I'm excited about Tuesday night, Louisville taking on Virginia. Any kind of pre-game thoughts, because the next time we're going to hear from you is going to be after that game. How are you feeling about Louisville coming into that game, and what do you expect to see there?
I mean, Virginia can score, and they're a high-paced offense, and that might play into the thing that we want to do. So as long as McThreely is hitting his shots, and maybe if we can get Conwell back in the fold, maybe just needed to give him a rest day and let him get back healthy. I think we could keep up with that. It would be wonderful if for some weird reason we got Brown back. I don't think we will.
I don't either.
But
I don't see it happening.
I think that we can be competitive. I don't think we're going to get walked off the floor. So I would look to win at that particular one, but I think it's going to be a close one. The thing that scares me is that Pat Kelsey still has, I believe, the record of never winning a game if he's behind in the last 5 minutes, but yet he also always wins if he's ahead in the last 5 minutes. So I don't know how to feel sometimes when I'm at the game and we're up and or we're down by with the 5 minutes to go. I don't know if I should just go ahead and pack up and go or what.
It's another frustrating dynamic to me as and really proving his development as a head coach, because that's my biggest, I guess, just frustration. I don't want to say it's a critique of him. Is he able to like? I just want to see him one time. Again, unfortunately, this Virginia team is not going to be an opportunity. They're a top 25 team, but I need to see him be able to defeat one elite coach one time. Just get it done. Like I was hoping it would be against Cal or somebody like that. Somebody, and regardless of what people want to think of Cal, I think we've kind of seen and proven that he is still an elite coach. Yes, he got beat by Stephen Pearl, but that's kind of what he does. He wins the big games. That you don't, you know what I mean? Like he comes up and shows up for those, and then he loses to some bum ass coach. And that's what happens. But like at the same time, you know that he can get up for those games.
Scott Drew on the schedule.
You know, yeah. Oh, that's true. We do. And that's an opportunity out there. I forget about that just because it's so late in the season for a non-conference game. Additionally, you know, it's kind of funny is Calipari. It's not exactly. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison. Is Calipari kind of the Jeff Brohm of college basketball? Is that, you know what I mean? Like the gets up for the big ones, wins those big games, but then he'll lose to some random whatever. I don't want to say crap bum, but kind of. Anyway, I'm excited about the game. At least it's at home, so I felt better about getting an opportunity. It does worry me a little bit because you don't really have a lot of tune-ups on the road before taking on Duke for the second time. The next one you're going to have is I think like Pittsburgh on the road. Yeah. So and they're Drek. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, that'll do it for us. Excited to see how this will go. Any final comments you want to say before I wrap it up for us?
Hey, hopefully we can knock out this win and we can have a good final 5 days where we protect our roster in the transfer portal, and we can have a great show on Wednesday. You should everybody like, subscribe. Hey, it'll give you an alert. It'll tell you to come watch us. We're gonna be knuckleheads and stupid, so by all means, tune in for the car crash.
Yeah, definitely tune in. That'll be Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. here on ESPN Louisville Plus, Gas Bags Podcast, or Gas Bags Radio Podcast with Jinky, Nick Valvano, and Tanner Brunemesso. I'm Justin Soforo. Guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, After Dark, hopefully in the next, I'm not sure if it's going to be another week or so, but we're hoping our girl, Anna Tarullo, will be feeling better, get healthy, and come back good as new, and we'll be ready to go with more stuff here on ESPN Louisville Plus After Dark. Guys, if you haven't already, do me a solid favor, smash that freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. You can follow me, as you see down over here, at Justin Soforo on Twitter. Jinky removed himself from social media, so you can't follow him right now unless he's decided to bring that back yet. But whenever he does, we'll make sure to put that on here as well. It's still gone, right?
Yep.
Right? Okay. All right, guys, that'll do it. We'll see you guys next time. See you all. Go Cards.
Bye-bye.